talked about since the beginning of the season. The scenarios are going to change week to week. Every week it's going to be something different that happened. There's going to be some different challenge, but the main target is to try to continue to get better. From that standpoint, I do think we're an improving team. I really do believe that. I've said it, since we started. I really like this team, and I really like this coaching staff. With that, obviously, the challenge probably heightens even more. If you look at the next three opponents we play, right now I think are 15-3 combined records. We get Fresno State, we get San Diego State from the West Division. I think back to the challenge. I think back to Fresno State. We came in here in 2012. We played Fresno State in 2012. They were a dominant football team. Talent, maturity, all the above. Played them in 2013 up there. That was our second year where we were about out of players. Whipped us. Carr, the quarterback, the big receiver that plays for the Packers now that you saw last night on television. 2012, 2013, Fresno State was a dominant football team. 2014, we played them out here. A pretty competitive game. Fresno State started to come back to us a little bit in 2014. Then we didn't play them in 15 and 16, and Fresno State struggled both those years. 15 and 16, we missed them. Now they come back on the schedule last year in 2017. I think they were a 10-4 team. We went up there and got whipped. Bad. When you go back and look at the tape from last year, it was bad. It was bad schematically on our part, and they got after us. It's been interesting to watch them. When we came into the league, they were an odd defense. They were 3-4 defense. Tim DeRuyter comes into Fresno. I remember back then they had the dominant nose guard. They led the nation, I think, in pressure, sacks, turnovers. 3-4 odd defense, zone blitz. Now you fast forward to last year, still a dominant defense, but they flipped it over to a 4-3 scheme. Play a little bit of odd, but do it out of their four-man front where they take one of the stand-up ends and he basically plays a 4 technique as a defensive end. It's another indication that that old saying, it's not so much the X and O's, it's the Jimmies and Joes. By that I mean they have a solid, tradition-rich program. They have really good players. They are really well coached. But I've watched them do it with schematic differences, but they've done it both ways, and they are really good. They are really good. They're a 5-1 team. I think they should be undefeated. Be quite honest, if they played Minnesota again, they're going to beat Minnesota. They're good. Defensively, they're second in the nation in scoring defense. They're 10th in the nation in total defense. I think they're second in the nation in turnover margin. Really talented receivers on offense. 2 tight ends that are tall and athletic. They hit the jackpot on the quarterback. A year ago, Jeff Tedford comes into Fresno State, and the graduate transfer quarterback from Oregon State ends up coming in, I think, during training camp, and he's done nothing but get better. I think he's 71% completion rate, 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, can run. Against Wyoming, they came out there. I think he carried the ball 7 times against Wyoming. Their punter is really good. He put on a show against Wyoming field position-wise. A lot of credit to Fresno. The 2 years we missed them on the schedule, they were down. We're going to miss them the next 2 years. I doubt they're going to be down, just looking at their program moving forward. So, we get an opportunity. The rest of the season to play some really good teams, and that's just how I look at it. I do think we're an improving team. So with that, Steve, you want to start it?
What's the tight end situation like?
Better. Into that game last week, as you know, Marcus Williams had a toe injury. This is the time of the year where we took Marcus Williams on the trip, thinking game time decision, he might be able to play. Absolutely couldn't play. Braden Dickey had a complication last week, an illness type complication. He's 100% cleared to play. So Marcus Williams, Braden Dickey looks like they will both play this week. Neither one of them. Braden didn't even make the trip last year, and Marcus didn't play. I think both. I know Braden's full go to play. I think Marcus Williams will be full speed by Saturday.
Coach, what do you see as like the biggest challenge from Fresno? Is it their defense, because their defense is so stout?
No, I think it's a combination of their defense and how they manage the game on offense. The defense, as it should, statistically generates so much attention because, they've given up 3 points and 3 points the last 2 weeks against Nevada and Wyoming. But the offense, they do a great job. Last year they did some things on us that, again, we didn't line up real well. Schematically, we weren't in right positions last year. I take responsibility for that. But their offense, each week will have some different things that you can see they absolutely tailor for your defense. They do a very good job schematically. They protect the ball. They throw the ball down the field. I don't know if we played a team that threw the ball as much down the field as they did against us, particularly early in that game last year. So the defense generates the attention because of the overwhelming statistics. Offense plays to win the game because of what their defense is, but their offense is capable of creating really big plays and matchup problems as well. They're a very well-coached team. You got to put the credit where the credit lies. Jeff Tedford has come in there and had done really an unbelievable job on both sides of the ball.
Coach, the atmosphere last week at Fort Collins was exciting. Can you talk about that, plus the drama? If there was a better football game played in the country, more drama to it, I'd be surprised. You're always talking about getting better improvement. How did you improve after that experience?
Well, I think, I'm not sure we improved offensively in the game, quite honestly, from a technical standpoint. A couple things continue to hurt us. The fact that how willing are we to run the quarterback because of the depth situation? That's a real thing that hurts us. Also, I don't think our quarterback from a read standpoint played as good as we can play moving forward. Again, he's still young. Defensively, I think we've put together 2 weeks in a row of more solid football. Hasn't been dominant, but if you look at just Mountain West Conference statistics, we're third in the league in defense if you just take Mountain West Conference games. I think we improved just week to week. The attitude of our team, facing better teams each week, which I'll be anxious to see how we play this week. I think just overall as a football team, Henry, we are showing improvement right now. And again, I look at things like if you take that last field goal that they made and you look at the effort on that field goal block team of our guys, it was incredible. We had 2 corners come off the edge, something we never do, to bring both corners because they can collide at the junction point. But both corners came and sold out. And you look at those kids on that field after the game, and you're with those kids in the locker room after that game, true emotion and true dejection that you lost the game. You felt you could have won. I'm not saying should have won, could have won. And then you see the energy of coming back Sunday and the energy at practice today. We're just in a different place than we were last year when we were a 3-3 team after we got whooped by Fresno up there. We're at a different place. Now, how that plays out because of the challenge I just said that's ahead of us, I mean, let's not be naive. It's 15-3, the next 3 teams. We're probably going to be underdog in every remaining game on our schedule, the reality of that. But we're an improved team over last year. Now we have to maintain that, sustain that, and keep building through the rest of the season, regardless of what the talent level, regardless of what the record of our team is. So a lot of talking, just overall, I like where we are as a team more than I did a year ago. And each week I've liked how we've been as a team. You know, I go back to Liberty, what we did in the second half of coming back. I said then there's going to be a lot more Liberties. I'm sure you all noticed. Liberty beat Troy. Troy beat Nebraska. Troy is a very, very good football team. Liberty beat them this past week, right? I know all you guys noticed that. They're a pretty good team. So, you know, just keeping your eye on the target, I think we continue to show improvement, and I really like the attitude of this team.
Coach, McMarion gets a lot of attention, understandably so, but how impressed are you with the weapons he has around him?
Very impressed. Their receivers, I remember on the field last year, and we put our guys in some really difficult situations last year. I will be the first to take responsibility for that. I'll be the first to say, you know, we hung them out there. They are fast. They are fast. And number 3, number 1, they can go. They can go. And the kid can throw the deep ball. You know, going in, I think for us a little bit, McMarion, we didn't know a lot about. We probably didn't know, obviously, as much about Fresno then as we know now. He has weapons at wide receiver. He has weapons at tight end. They have 2 tight ends right now that are big, tall guys that can go and can run. So he's got a lot of weapons. They've got a good scheme. So absolutely, he's got a lot of supporting cast around him for sure.
Coach, your own defense seems like it's getting better and better each time out. Do you feel like that, or do you feel like you guys are getting?
I think we're getting better on defense. I do. I think, you know, the big emphasis is to not get the ball thrown over our heads. That helps us. You know, that has been the Achilles heel. That's been what sucked the energy out of us at times. You know, just like a lot of teams, but not getting the ball thrown over our head. And then we've had guys make more plays. You know, Aaron Blackwell's an example. You know, we've talked a lot about RPOs, you know, the run-pass options. And we talked about how, you know, the RPO is very close to the line of scrimmage where the quarterback lets go of the ball. It comes off the run fake. There's a lot of one-on-one blocks. Where Aaron Blackwell made 2 plays in the game against Colorado State on RPOs where he beat the center and made a play. Evatoe makes plays. City, now that he's back and healthy, starting to make plays. So we're playing a little better right now. We're playing a little better on defense, but I also know what's coming. You know, I also know what's coming down the road with some of these offenses that we have to play. But we are making improvement.
Coach, you said that in the next couple of games, people might see you as the underdog. How much do you think being the underdog or having the upper hand affects a team, like from outside predictions?
That's a hard call. I don't think particularly a whole lot. You know, the game is so much more technical, but there is an element of chip on the shoulder. You know, there is an element of momentum. We've talked about this a lot. Whatever it is, we ought to have it this week as coaches and players because we got whipped up there last year. We got whipped. And we know what kind of football team Fresno is. So whatever that it is, we ought to have it. We ought to have it this week. But most of all, we all do this with one eye on improving each week and getting better. That's the big picture of the thing we can control. You know, and I think that kind of fuels the attitude more than all the peripheral things. You know, what's in it for me? Well, what's in it for me is each one getting better each week. My little piece of this that I can control. So I always go back to kind of that boring thing of, you know, the motivation comes from just showing improvement each week with how much you put into this.
You touched on it a little bit. But what have you seen in the response from your guys this week after such a tough loss on Saturday?
Hungry, you know, hungry. It'd be that.
Coach, Jones has kind of taken a lot of the heat on the radio, TV, and all that. And if you really look at the play, the guy held him so bad, but no one said anything about it.
You talking about Jeff Jones on the last play?
Yeah. I mean, you could see that shirt being pulled a good foot, and but I mean, no one has said that. But I feel bad for the guy because, I mean.
Well, you know, first of all, if we want to get into detail on the last play, you know, there's so many things you go back and just, you know, it eats you up. It consumes you if you keep going back. But to go back to the last play, the ball should have been thrown to the swing. You know, we short motioned the running back out of there. We had a natural pick coming, and Sharon got off the read and went backside to the tight end. If the ball's thrown to the swing, it's an automatic first down. It was the quarterback that got the ball back to Jeff Jones to begin with. The ball wasn't going to Jeff Jones. It wasn't the first read. That's the frustrating thing. Now, I'm not blaming the quarterback. That's just what football is. But that play was designed to throw that flare swing to the running back. And if you go look at it, he's going to catch it, and it's going to be a 10-yard gain. Whether it was pass interference or not, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't think it should have been called in that situation. I don't think it was enough. I saw the kid jam him up. I saw the kid kind of pull him a little bit. But I also saw from the vantage point on our sideline, which you can look at all of our sideline, that ball was caught for a second and then dropped at the end of the day. That ball was caught. So to answer your question, I don't think pass interference should have been called there. I know it could have been called. He still had an opportunity to catch that ball. But bigger than that, the ball wasn't supposed to go there. The ball was supposed to go to the swing. And there's so many things like that you go back. You know, I can go back to that whole drive, each one of those 3 plays. And it definitely pains you to know if you make a first down, that game is over and you win the game. But then they got the ball back too. And we had a couple things happen. You know, there was a false start on the very first completion. The left tackle pass set early before the ball was snapped. It's a blatant one, if we want to get into what should have been called and wasn't called. There was a pass interference. There was a lot of things on that next drive where they kicked the field goal. So there's a lot of things when you play those kind of games that you go back and play every play over again. And it's that's what it is.
Anything else, guys?
All right, man. We're good. All right, guys. Thank you.